morning. This past weekend, the Mission and Service Ministry Group met for a retreat, and the purpose of the retreat was for us to gather and to talk about mission and service and our hopes and dreams for the future. And also we did some of who does what on the team and got ourselves a little more organized. But we opened up the retreat reflecting on a passage of scripture from Genesis chapter 18. And I'm not going to read you the whole story because it's a bit long, but what's happening here, we find Abraham and Sarah. They are with their family and they are waiting on a promise from God to be fulfilled that Sarah would have a child. And on this particular day, Abraham encounters three strangers. And we don't know why, but Abraham suddenly gets very activated and he invites them in, he washes their feet, he prepares a place for them to rest. And then starting in verse 6, it says, "So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. 'Quick,' he said, 'get 3 sheets of flour and knead it and bake some bread.' Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice tender calf and gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set these before the men while they ate, and he stood near them under a tree." And so in our mission and service retreat, we reflected on how the actions that Abraham are doing are often the actions that we associate with mission and service. We want to be hospitable, we want to be welcoming, we want to offer food, washing of feet, and all of these sorts of things to people who are our neighbors or who are the stranger. But then there's a twist at the end of the story. You actually find out that these strangers are messengers from God. And at the end of the story, the messengers, these strangers, are actually present because they have brought a blessing for Abraham. They have come to tell him that within a year, Sarah will have the child, which has been promised to them by God. And so in our mission and service retreat, we were reflecting on the story, thinking, who is the one who has been blessed? Who is the one that is doing mission? And the truth is, I think both sides of the story are doing both. Abraham is doing service and doing mission with welcome and hospitality, and the strangers, whoever they are, have left their home and they have come to Abraham with good news to share. And so we were talking in our mission and service retreat about how mission and service is this mutually beneficial back and forth. And I told the ministry group about my own personal experience when I was in seminary. Sometimes, often, when folks go to seminary can be a time where you're really contemplating your faith. And for some people, that can cause a bit of a crisis of faith. And so I had gotten to the point where I did not know what I believed anymore. I was almost too up close with my faith to really understand what I did believe. But somehow, in the providence of God, I ended up working for a mission organization in Del Barton, West Virginia. I was a part of a team that would host folks coming for a weekly service mission trip. And what I can tell you is that those summers spent in West Virginia ended up being pivotal moments of faith formation for me, because what I realized while I was there is that I might not ever get the right thoughts about God perfect, but I can know what it feels like to be served and to be blessed by God. And it was in the faces and relationships with the stranger, or the folks that I met while I was in West Virginia, that I received this true blessing from God, knowing who I am in God's kingdom and knowing what my work is in the world. And so as you go forth this week, I charge you to be open to the stranger, to be open that people you run into might have the very message from God that you were waiting to hear. May you open your homes and your hearts to all sorts of people, and may you be blessed by what they bring you. Amen.